Nestled in the heart of Southeast Asia, the Philippines is an archipelago of more than 7,000 islands, each with its own story woven into a vibrant tapestry of history. The nation's journey is one of resistance, resilience, and remarkable change, a chronicle stretching from ancient times through centuries of colonization, global conflict, and the ongoing quest for identity and progress. Long before foreign sails appeared on its horizon, the lands we now know as the Philippines were already home to thriving communities. Archaeological discoveries, such as the remains of Tabanmon in Palawan, suggest that humans inhabited the islands as far back as 47,000 years ago. These early settlers fashioned intricate pottery, tools, and jewelry, artifacts that reveal a complex society skilled in both trade and craftsmanship. The archipelago's location made it a crossroads for traders from China, India, Arabia, and neighboring island nations. By the 10th century, local polities such as the Rajanates and Datuships were flourishing, trading gold, porcelain, spices, and textiles. In 1521, the fate of the islands shifted dramatically when Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, sailing under the Spanish flag, arrived on the shores of Homonhon. This first encounter set into motion a period of dramatic transformation. Although Magellan was killed in the Battle of Mactan by the forces of local chieftain Lapu-Lapu, a moment that lives on as a symbol of Filipino resistance, Spain would eventually return and, in 1565, establish the first lasting colony at Cebu, led by Miguel López de Legazpi. Under Spanish rule, which lasted for more than 3 centuries, the islands were united as a single entity known as Las Islas Filipinas, in honor of King Philip II of Spain. Christianity began to spread rapidly, and the archipelago became one of the most Christianized nations in Asia. Churches, fortresses, and towns rose across the landscape, a testament to both the reach of Spanish power and the endurance of Filipino culture. Within this system, the Spanish introduced the encomienda, with local leaders serving as intermediaries between the colonists and their communities. Over time, a unique blend of Spanish and local customs evolved, seen in art, language, cuisine, and daily life. From the Catholic fiestas to the Barong Tagalog, the signs of this cultural synthesis still linger. Yet the promise of prosperity was shadowed by hardship. Tribute, forced labor, and the monopolization of trade, especially with the famed Manila-Acapulco galleon trade, fueled resentment. The story of Filipino resistance is embodied in countless revolts. The uprising of Lacandula and Sulayman, the Ilocos Revolt of 1762, and most notably the Philippine Revolution of 1896 led by the Katipunan Society, steered by figures like Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Aguinaldo. In 1898, the winds of change swept across the Pacific yet again. The Spanish-American War erupted, culminating in the Battle of Manila Bay, where Commodore George Dewey's fleet decisively defeated the Spanish forces. The Philippines found itself at the crux of new global rivalries. On June 12, 1898, Aguinaldo declared independence from Spain in Kawit, Cavite, and the Philippine flag was unfurled as the rousing anthem Lupang Hinirang was played. But this euphoria was short-lived, as the Treaty of Paris ceded the Philippines to the United States for $20 million. The Philippine-American War followed, marking another painful chapter. For 3 years, Filipino revolutionaries fought valiantly against American forces. The conflict was marked by tragedy, but eventually, American colonial rule was established, bringing with it sweeping reforms, the introduction of English as a medium of instruction, and the foundations of a new Western-style educational and governmental system. The American period also saw the gradual movement toward greater self-governance. The Philippine Assembly was established in 1907, and a series of steps were taken, culminating in the passage of the Tydings-McDuffie Act in 1934, which promised eventual independence after a decade-long transition. But global conflict would once again upend the course of history. In December 1941, Japanese forces invaded the Philippines shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor. The ensuing occupation was harsh and brutal, marked by the Bataan Death March and countless acts of resistance both in cities and deep in the jungles. The return of General Douglas MacArthur and the Allied liberation effort in 1945 marked the end of Japanese control and brought with it the devastation of war, including the near-total destruction of Manila. On July 4, 1946, the Philippines finally achieved full independence from the United States. The era that followed was filled with hope and ambition. The Reconstruction years were marked by efforts to rebuild infrastructure and foster economic prosperity, but also by political upheavals, martial law under Ferdinand Marcos, and the People Power Revolution of 1986, a peaceful uprising that would inspire other movements around the world. The world watched as millions of Filipinos took to the streets, ousting a dictatorship and restoring democracy. The story of the Philippines is not just one of wars and leaders, but of people, fisherfolk casting nets at dawn, craftsmen weaving patterns handed down through generations, families sharing meals of adobo and sinigang, and countless overseas Filipino workers forging connections across continents. The nation's diasporic spread, now over 10 million Filipinos living and working abroad, has shaped economies and cultures far from the archipelago's shores. From the rise of jeepneys and karaoke to the accomplishments of internationally renowned artists, athletes, and scientists, the Philippines continues to evolve. It has faced natural disasters, political uncertainties, and modern challenges such as climate change and technological transformation. Yet at the heart of its identity remains an indomitable spirit, a capacity for joy, and a fierce love for family and freedom. Through centuries of change, the archipelago known as the Philippines has always managed to carve its own path, drawing strength from its past, hope from its resilience, and pride from the vibrant cultures that make it unique in the world. As the waters of the Pacific continue to lap gently against its shores, the story is far from over, unfolding still with every beat of its people's courage and dreams.